And welcome to I Don't Get It, the Pop Culture Get Off My Lawn cast. This show, as usual, always features the open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons, staring at the prospect of entertainment irrelevance. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry of American Caesar Enterprises, which, of course, as everybody knows, is a refrigerator door covered with poor crayon drawings by a low-grade intellect nephew attached by the magnetic letters C, A, and E.
That's cruel, man. That's cruel.
I don't even have a nephew. I have nieces, but not a nephew. So right. I don't even know what I'm talking about here.
I still remember a comedian I knew when I was going to open mics, and she wasn't great, but she had a joke that stayed with me. She said, yeah, I went to, my nephew had an art my nephew's in 4th grade. I went to his art show, and all the students saw their art. And let me tell you, that art sucked. And it's an easy joke, but it hit me between the eyes in the right place. It really stayed.
I love it. It works. It works for me,
Yeah, it's like the Onion article. New study reveals babies are stupid. It didn't even crawl out of the road as the car was coming. That kind of thing. Well, hello. My name's Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quizmaster of The Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. Welcome to our show. We're back. We took a couple weeks break. We're busy men. Friends, we are busy people.
I wouldn't say I was busy. I was on a cruise ship zipping around the Bahamas, so it wasn't much busy for me.
That's the life of a millionaire playboy like you.
Yeah, I should specify. I was actually captaining the ship. I had temporarily been made. Maersk Cruise Lines put me in charge of one of their largest vessels, so it was a thing.
Did you marry anyone while you were on the ship? Because that's a power of ship
against
captains, right?
I forcibly married some people against their will. So yeah,
against their will, you're like Reverend Sun Young Moon.
Well, no, those are voluntary marriages. I think.
And then, of course, was it a Maersk boat in the movie Captain Phillips? And Tom Hanks was hijacked by. Yeah, that Maersk is Somalian guys from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Maersk is they kind of all were. They were actors from St. Paul. It's true.
They were. That's where the Somalians. Unfortunately, the government has made us all aware of that. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to our show. So, our remit in this program is to talk about things that are happening, things that are in pop culture. And folks, today is Sunday, but a new movie just came out this past Friday that has not been getting good reviews. The film Cognoscenti has not glommed onto this as a classic. Don't expect a sweep come Oscars night. But apparently, it's selling quite a few tickets, including two to you and me. We both, unlike the last movie we looked at, Melania, we actually saw this movie.
Yeah, we made a decision to go in all in.
We made a decision to go see the movie. The movie is not the Nora Ephron, John Travolta Angel movie from, 1995, 1996?
6, I believe, yeah.
Okay. Which was called Michael. It's a different movie called Michael, a biopic about one Michael Joseph Jackson VIII, a.k.a. MJ, a.k.a. The Thriller.
Jacko.
Jacko, right. I was trying to remember. The King of Pop.
The King of Pop.
What were some other Michael nicknames?
His Story was the name of the album, but he wasn't called it. Yeah, no, I think King of Pop is what the
He started calling himself the King of Pop.
Yeah.
Which is a little egomaniacal.
I mean, to be fair, it was his family legacy. I mean, they really did. First he was the Earl of Pop. He came from the Viscount of Soul. Like all these, it was in the family lineage.
He was the Duke of Pop. Anyway, the movie's called Michael. It's a biopic of Michael Jackson. You know who Michael Jackson is. And there's a story here beyond the movie itself. So, Bill, tell us in brief the story of the movie Michael.
I will attempt to. At this point, the man has been dead for, was it 16 years, 17 years or something?
17 years.
17 fucking years, man. It's crazy.
Believe that? Crazy.
Yeah, so to recapitulate just the merest of what you just said, Michael is a 2026 biopic, although it's biopic, I believe. Directed by Mr.
I like to pronounce it biopic.
It is biopic.
More
directed by a man named Antoine Fuqua, who's a professional director banging around for a good number of years now.
I just saw Training Day for the first time, like last year.
Did you like it?
That is a quality motion picture.
Okay. I don't know. He's followed it up with like a lot of Equalizer movies with Denzel.
Yeah, all the equalized stuff. Yeah.
He's got a mixed record. I don't consider myself a fan, but as a guy obviously knows what he's doing. It was written by John Logan. I think it's important that the writing directing team are both African American gentlemen. Obviously, a lot of these movies, like for instance, Straight Outta Compton.
Wait, Michael Jackson was black?
Straight Outta Compton was about a wholly black phenomenon of gangster rappers. The director,
Wait, John Logan wrote Straight Outta Compton.
No. I'm saying it was directed by F. Gary Gray, but that movie was written by Caucasian people.
Oh, so this is but the connection is you don't like that Straight Outta Compton was written by white people, so you're glad that Michael was written by black people.
I have no doubt that the self-conscious thing, especially this.
I like Straight Outta Compton.
I thought it was a gloss on thing. Straight Outta Compton. Even though we're not here to talk about it,
I didn't know that much about NWA. Anyway, we're not.
Yeah.
Yes, let's not talk about it.
So this movie follows the life of Michael Joseph Jackson, as you said, from his Gary Indiana childhood to the Jackson 5 through the 1980s Bad tour. Like it
ends at 1988, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it's right at Wembley Stadium. Some mythical mythical date of the Bad tour in London. So the late Michael Jackson is portrayed by his own nephew, Jafar Jackson, son of Jermaine, one of the sons of Jermaine. Jermaine has many sons with, I would say, names like Your Majesty. There's Jafar.
Wait a minute. Jermaine married Berry Gordy's daughter.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, that's why he left the family, and they mentioned this movie. So Jermaine left the band early, and they replaced him with Randy, the youngest son, because when the band left Motown, Jermaine stayed loyal to Motown because Berry Gordy was his father-in-law. So here's my question. This literally just occurred to me now. Is Jafar Berry Gordy's grandson?
That stands to reason, but I can't confirm that. Maybe you're right.
Okay, because I have to wonder that. You know what? Keep talking. I'll look it
okay.
up.
So the supporting cast for this movie includes Nia Long, who was in such television shows as Martin, of course. It was a Mike Myers jump scare, as my friend Nick Nadell likes to say. Because
I did not recognize him at first.
He pops up in heavy makeup as Walter Yetnikoff, the former president of CBS back in the 80s. Miles Teller is in this, and of course, I think the showpiece is Mr. Colin Domingo playing the harsh, stringent Joseph Jackson, the old man, the paterfamilias of the Jackson clan. Development of this movie began in November 2019. Although, I mean, I think that this has been, for a long time, people wanted to make this movie.
Yes.
It was reported that the producer Graham King had secured the rights for Lionsgate to produce a film about Jackson. Logan was attached to write it. Delays came from the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike, which kind of, topsy-turvied everything. And so filming actually took place in January, May. I should say principal photography took place January, May of 2024. So after a clause was discovered in a legal settlement, here we go.
Clause discovered in a settlement. This is how Hollywood works, folks.
It's so wild. Yeah, references to 1993 child sexual. You guys all know about this because I believe this has overwhelmed Michael Jackson's legacy to a degree. Child sexual abuse allegations against Jackson were removed from the movie. Again, I think so the third act was revised,
completely reshot.
Yeah, June 2025. It's like they put another, God, I don't know, it was 25 million, some gigantic chunk. Look at the movie
because they didn't notice a clause in the contract, so they had to spend tens of millions.
It was a sort of, I don't want to say against the will of Fuqua and John Logan, but it was like they had to create something that wasn't there before to placate the Jackson family, who, again, I will say this 1,000 times, the Jackson family made this movie. The Jackson family and John Branca made this movie.
Some members of the Jackson family made this movie. Janet declined to participate.
Yeah.
So according to this movie, Janet does not exist. Also, Rebby, the oldest child, the first daughter, does not exist. And Randy, the youngest child, he does not exist.
Wild, man.
The Jackson family in this universe has only 6 children, even though in real life they had 9. Actually, they had 10. I learned this recently. Marlon had a twin who died in infancy. So technically they had 10 children. Yeah, and Joe Jackson had an 11th kid from an extramarital affair.
Secret kid, exactly.
Real quality family, yeah.
So the movie has Noah hinted, has really received negative reviews in the main. Granted, there are a lot of glowing reviews depending on which outlet you think of. Fans, some fans seem
glowing.
To love it.
Really?
There's some.
I read fans like it, but
fans like it. Yeah, it's doing that.
The best I read is I was entertained.
That's
entertained.
The best I read. No, it says Noah Tarnow 2026.
Well, that is what I will say that coming up.
Critics have praised the lead Jafar Jackson as performance as sort of embodying Jackson. I think it's a bit of mimesis, if you ask me. But people criticize the story as being sanitized, which is absolutely. I mean, that's not even a criticism. It's just factual. It's definitely sanitized.
Yes, pretty much, yes.
So the thing is, I was going to say in my notes, I said it's forecast to open in 80. I heard on Sunday it's going to open up 100. It's going to get $100 million out the gate.
That's good, right?
That's enormous for a movie
Wait,
like
what's
this.
typical? What's typical of a?
Well, okay, well that's a good question. The comps for this one were Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man.
Right.
It was saying recent vintage. I mean, I think Straight Outta Compton was a little different, but in terms of like pop things about enormous bands, and Bohemian Rhapsody went on to win, what was it, Best Actor and Best Editing.
Yes, Rami Malek won.
Yeah, and Rocket Man did pretty well, and again, Elton John is still a living sensation. So, but $100 million, I think, blast the shit out of those, like by at least by half. Those are like 50 million openers tops, that kind of thing.
I don't follow the number game in Hollywood.
And it doesn't matter. The question is, as we're here to discuss, do we like it or not, and why? In each case, what is our reaction? So, no, I did pitch this, and I think that you're a fan of the Viscount of Skiffle.
I'm not a huge. Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't say I'm a Michael Jackson fan, but I appreciate him the way most of the world did. In the 80s. First of all, Jafar Jackson is not Berry Gordy's grandson.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. He is the son of Jermaine Jackson's second wife.
There you go.
So there you go. Just set the record straight. All right. I enjoyed it for what it was, which was a very limited, simplistic accounting of Michael Jackson's career and life up until the beginning of his descent into being a joke and possibly a criminal. And look, you have to expect something sanitized from a movie approved and as you said, basically made by the Jackson estate. And you cannot make this movie without the explicit approval of the Jackson's estate, because imagine making a Michael Jackson biopic without the music, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the only way you do that is in 100 years when Michael Jackson's music falls into the public domain. And I don't even know if that would be the case. I don't know enough.
I'll be waiting for that to happen. I'll be hanging around to see what that version's like.
I mean, you could people have. You can make a documentary about Michael Jackson without the music, but you cannot make a biopic without the music. So if you're going to make a Michael Jackson biopic, it has to be approved by the family. If it's going to be approved by the family, it's going to be sanitized. Now, you could say because of those things, no one should make a Michael Jackson biopic, and I might agree with that, but they did, and I was entertained because the music of Michael Jackson is undeniable. Never has there been a clearer example of the cream rising to the top. People young, so Thriller came out in 1982, right?
Yeah. 83?
I believe it was 82.
Mm-hmm.
So sometime around there. We're 7 when Thriller comes out, right? We're like 5 when Off the Wall comes out.
Yes.
We're like 7 when Thriller comes out. We're 12 or 13 when Bad comes out. People younger than us, I've always seen Michael Jackson through the lens of he's either a joke or he's a criminal. You cannot imagine if you weren't there, man, you don't know how big Michael Jackson was. Even me, I have never actively engaged with his music. My friends know I'm into making my mixtapes. I made 106 mixtapes over the years, 3,000 songs on them. There's one single not count, a few Jackson 5 songs, one single Michael Jackson song. I'm not a big Michael Jackson fan. I am not someone who's engaged with his music, but I cannot help but appreciate this on multiple levels. The music, and I love the musical scenes. And a lot of it is thanks to Jafar Jackson. Now, you say it was mine. You think, I guess when you say it was empty, I don't agree. I think he's fan-fucking-tastic, emulating his uncle. I remember the magic of Michael Jackson. Now I want to go back and watch those concert footage scenes of Michael Jackson because I'm like, damn, this guy was good, and this he's like 35 or something. He's 30. I looked it up. He's 30. This kid here is really channeling the magic in a very admirable way. The musical scenes are stunning, and I love the moments where you see the behind-the-scenes action, the making of the Thriller video, the making of, it's a little cartoonish, but he gets all the gang members together, and they're doing the Beat It dance, I thought those scenes were very engaging, very interesting. I grew up with those songs. They are part of our DNA. They have to be. If you lived in America, probably lived anywhere in the 80s. And to see this, I found really interesting, a real interesting peek behind the curtain. If nothing else, this movie was a nostalgic tour through some comforting memories of the music that dominated my childhood. I was unquestionably entertained. But the flaws are impossible to fully set aside. And the flaws are many. The story blazes through his Jackson 5 years way too fast. His brothers are given no personality. None. They're interchangeable. Now, who cares? The movie is not called Michael, Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, and Jackie. The movie's called Michael.
And how do you know which one is Tito, by the way? Did you keep track of that?
Well, Tito is the biggest one, right?
No, Tito had a ball cap, and it was written in lame on the bill. It said Tito.
Oh, was it?
That's how he was identified in the movie.
So his brothers are completely anonymous. And there are attempts at narrative through line, and they all fall flat. I kind of thought the script, I mean, it still would have been very problematic, but like at the very least, the script needed a rewrite because they feign towards these narrative through lines that all skim the surface. You know, Joe Jackson, his father, is too cartoonish. He's really too cartoonish to resonate as a three-dimensional villain. And Coleman Domingo, who plays the father, my God, he has clamped on some hideous clown mask of makeup. And granted, when you look at what Joe Jackson looked like, and by the way, just to be 100% clear, this is not the Joe Jackson who did I'm the Man and Look Sharp. I love that Joe Jackson. Different musician. That guy's really good. I saw him in concert just a few years ago. Still fantastic. Anyway, no, Joseph Jackson, the patriarch of the Jackson family. Yes, he had makeup and plastic surgery issues, but this is just, he looks so ridiculous. He's too cartoonish. Miles Teller plays John Branca, something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
Branca. And he was Michael Jackson's lawyer, a real person. He is one of the trustees of the Jackson estate, but he makes himself into a central character in the Jackson story because he's making this movie. So he comes off as a very self-serving, one-dimensional character. There's also a subplot of Michael has a special bond with his mother that, again, only skims the surface. Doesn't go deep enough to really resonate. He's always seeking other father figures, whether it's Branca, whether it's Berry Gordy, whether it's his bodyguard. That actor who plays his bodyguard, don't you think he looked uncannily like Vin Diesel?
He had something to him. Yeah, something like that.
At first, I'm like, why is Vin Diesel playing this part? It wasn't Vin Diesel. From a narrative perspective, flat out, I think this movie is poorly made. And then I think there's some production issues. Yes, Domingo's makeup, his chimp, Michael's chimp Bubble shows up. Bad CGI. Why do you need to make a chimp bad CGI? Are there no more chimps in Hollywood?
Yeah, I think that it's too problematic to bring a chimp onto the set these days.
Weren't there, like, in the 60s, every movie had a fucking chimp in it. There was probably a whole industry of chimp trainers in Hollywood. Yeah. You can't get one of there are no chimps anymore?
You know, I think
CGI
one of the members of the A-Team was a chimp, I think. That's how common they were.
Well, there was the chimp in all the Tarzan movies, and then there was the J. Fred Muggs on the Today Show. Yeah. I thought the CGI looked really bad.
It was that one Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies. He was a really good actor.
Yes, exactly. Roddy McDowell was, why can't they get Roddy McDowell? Where's he doing these days? The crowds at his concerts, I saw one review that said they look like the crowds in a Madden football video game. And then, of course, there's what's missing. The accusations of, believe what you want, but at best, Michael Jackson was a creepy weirdo. At worst, he was a monstrous child molester. My opinion is somewhere in the middle, but that's irrelevant. Regardless, we simply cannot ignore that these accusations and the credibility of these accusations, which are the tragedy of Michael Jackson's legacy. I've also said that in a way, we and he are fortunate that he died when he did, before the worst of the accusations came out, because it allows us, in the main, to keep enjoying his art without completely devolving into shame. To omit all these things, and not only omit the accusations, but they veer in the opposite direction. They show him in the hospital with the sick kids. There's a scene where he's in a toy store signing toys for these starstruck children. They basically make an argument that when it comes to interactions with children, Michael Jackson was a motherfucking saint. And what kind of demented monster are you to accuse him of diddling these children whose lives he made magical, right? Who he touched. And, when he's in the burn unit after the Pepsi ad thing, he wants to give all the money from the settlement to the burn unit, right? So to I don't want to say lie, but to frame things in that way is a travesty of both justice and narrative integrity. I guess it's a testament to the power of Michael Jackson's art and Jafar Jackson's ability that I don't hate this movie. That the music scenes are enough to let me give it a tentative thumbs up.
You missed the deleted scene where Ike Turner goes on to create the National Organization of Women. I think that was sort of left on the floor. Just in terms of, they somehow left that one out. Well, look, here's the thing. I bet that people, and by people I mean members of the Jackson family, were probably itching to make this movie like mere minutes after Jackson died in 2009. They just had to wait the requisite amount of time for his teeny tiny body to grow cold. And then essentially plot how to be maximally extractive as possible about Jackson's legacy. My friend Matthias said that I brought up, hey, Janet's not in this. He goes, yeah, because Janet's the only one who's probably not broke. I'm like, yeah, I guess I didn't think about it. She didn't need to exploit her brother's legacy. She let it sit.
I don't know. I bet every one of those Jackson people has some money.
I think they probably pissed through a lot of stuff, That's what I think.
Anyway.
The thing is that, in a way, this heavily bowdlerized version of Jackson's pop zenith is kind of turned into a metaphor about the manner in which the family treated Jackson himself in the text of the movie. Even it's like he's a resource to exploit. That's from the beginning when Joe Jackson takes the belt in one scene early, and it's like if Michael can't get his attention, he can't drill down into being the front man of the Jacksons. He's going to get his ass whipped with a fucking leather belt. So the living members of the Jackson family produced this, with the exceptions that Noah already mentioned, along with Branca. And the thing is that it's so.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt. And Michael Jackson, one of his kids, was a producer on this too.
Yeah. There's
Paris or London or one of them.
Yeah, Bermuda Jackson.
Ulaanbaatar Jackson.
Yeah, Beirut Jackson, I guess is his name. But Branca,
continue.
Branca, not only, he's the executor, so they needed him. And, him and Branca, Jackson and Branca, I checked this out, had a pretty nasty falling out in 90.
Really?
Oh, Jackson had thought that Branca was too close to Walter Yetnikoff, and so he kicked him out, but they not kind of reconciled, at least, so the thing is, Branca is the one that has the control of the music and the executive of the estate. So the thing is, Branca stipulated the hero arc, the in-film hero arc for himself, which is, again, he doesn't have a character so much. He's a side character who comes in and says magical things to Jackson. He sort of makes it seem like he's the man who single-handedly enabled Michael Jackson Thriller to roll over culture in 82. So yes, the audiences are loving it. Critics are sour on it. We've seen this is review bombing that's happening in a number of places beforehand. This is just what we get now with the Rotten Tomatoes era. My review is simple, okay? Jackson is definitely one of the preeminent musicians in American history, I think. Maybe even world history, I think. By the time he was dead, he was like still touring Bosnia, he was getting Sofia, Bulgaria, and Macedonia, would come up by the tens of thousands to see
the rest of the world never quite thought of him as much of a joke as he had descended into in the U.S.
Even the English, that O2 tour that he was doing on the way out when he was he died during the rehearsals for that.
That's right. Tour. He was about to go on another tour.
That was supposed to be his reclamation project. I mean, I can't help but respond to the sound every time it plays on screen. You said that you're not a fan of Michael Jackson, or you appreciate the music, but it doesn't come up in your. Yeah, like you, it's kind of just hardwired. It's part of DNA. But I also think it's an incredibly at his zenith, not just the pop zenith, but the music he created between Off the Wall and Thriller, I think, is just some of the best American culture there has ever been. Like Twain's writing, is something about that. I think.
I mean, it's not crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, something has to stand in for American culture. It has to, if you're going to put it on Voyager and send it out on a gold disc, this is what you would send the aliens. This is what I think.
Totally. But wait, when did the Voyager record go out? It was before. It was before Michael Jackson was big, right?
It was 80 or 81. No, it was 78, 79, I think it was. Now
right. It was before. So, it would make if they did it now, they might put, Beat It on it.
They could have put him on the damn Voyager. Actually, just put the man on Voyager, too.
He would have appreciated it.
I got to agree with you. This movie is a farce. It looks like it's designed to kind of spin Jackson into a divine elf persona who is just too beautiful to live. Yes. Ignoring all the impossible to ignore horrific weirdness at the core of his identity, all the contradictions, in favor of a musical jukebox, which frankly you already had in Cirque du Soleil shows and a Broadway show, which was just a couple of years old at this point, which tore Broadway, the Michael Jackson show on Broadway. It's that's what they wanted.
Haven't there been multiple concert movies of Michael Jackson?
At this point, well, This Is It was a huge.
This is it, right? I've never seen any of them, and now I want to see one. But yeah,
that looks like a weird one. It's like at that point you're dealing with Michael Jackson on the way out. He's taking fucking what is anesthetic to fall asleep at night. That's what killed the guy. It's so weird.
You're confident. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're the greatest of all time.
It's kind of self-evident, but why? I mean, it's getting bad reviews, but it's doing well at the box office. So, why are people engaged with this? The guy's been dead for 17 years. It's been a joke for 30 years to most people in American culture. So why?
Well, like the Queen and Elton John documentaries. I mean, maybe more the Queen documentary again, because that one was an Oscar winner. And I mean, Elton John, I think, just scored pretty well. And it was for Taron Egerton, the guy who played Elton John. I think it was a feather in his cap. I don't know what kind of like cultural permanence the Elton John one has, but Queen still sticks around. The feature audiences are lining up at the trough for competently made film experience, essentially doling out music from the jukebox, stitching the stuff together with enough narrative sinew to approximate an arc. And anything I could say as a derogation of this movie, honestly, no one cares. No one's listening. It's the stuff of a letterbox review that's designed to go unread, which is, that's anything I would have to say. That's what this movie doesn't have an arc. This movie, it just has hits and it has hero worship. Yeah. And
I think it tries to have an arc, but it fails.
Yeah. Okay. But the thing is, it's like, it doesn't even have characters. I mean, Joe Jackson is the closest there is to a character.
Yeah.
Jafar
but he's too cartoonish.
Yeah, and the thing is, almost no one else is named. I was really surprised. I mean, I'm sidetracking myself here. There are like no actors. There's not even a B-lister in this movie aside from Coleman Domingo, Miles Teller. Are the two
Neil
guys.
Long, Mike Myers?
Well, Mike Myers has a small role, essentially a cameo. Neil Long is a TV
think that's
actress.
Enough for a movie.
Right, but it's like this thing should be larded with A-listers and B-listers. Like this should be filled. You know who should have played Michael Jackson? Sir Anthony Hopkins. That would have been a muscular performance along the way. So this is the thing. So
I want to see, and now I'm picturing him dancing like Michael, and it's a funny image.
So you got the hits, you got the hero worship, and I think essentially that's how vast swaths of culture, not just the Serbians, not just the Bulgarians, not just the Estonians, but people in America who have like really short memories for horror. That's how they engage with Michael Jackson. I think they want to ignore the ugliness and they want to embrace the music. And so this I don't think anything would have failed. I think any version of this movie at this level with this kind of penetration was primed to be accepted, because I don't necessarily think you could make a worse movie than this, considering how
you can. Yes, you can.
Maybe. I don't know.
Cast Anthony Hopkins as Michael Jackson.
I would see
a
it.
worse
I would
movie.
see it in a heartbeat.
I would see it, but it would be a worse movie.
So what do you think?
Yeah, as I said, Michael Jackson is undeniable. I mentioned this. Younger generations will mostly never relate, because to them, he's always been, to people like my nephews who were born in 2004, they barely remember when he was alive, right? So to them, at best, he's been a joke. At worst, he's been a criminal.
Yeah.
Right?
Smooth criminal.
Smooth criminal, Annie, are you okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me a minute to remember that name, Annie. But he held a grip on the monoculture, possibly more than anyone ever in American history. People go back to monoculture, they go back to the Beatles, but the Beatles was 60 years ago. And I think the Beatles, I kind of wonder how far their penetration was into non-white Americans. I mean, I'm sure it was still considerable. Michael Jackson, everyone, if not loved, knew about and followed. Every color, every race, every religion, every age. And right now, we miss the monoculture. We long for the monoculture, There are people who bemoan the loss of the monoculture. There are people who try to force their culture on others as a way of recreating the monoculture. I think we all want it. I mean, that's the monoculture, is wanting a monoculture, right? And the fact that we don't have it is sad. So there's nostalgia for when we had it. And Michael Jackson in the 80s was it. I know you disagree on this, but I think the movie does a very competent job of recreating those magical Michael moments, those MMMs, both on stage and behind the scenes. And we want to believe in our heroes. With MJ dead, it's easier to believe in him and to feel less guilty about celebrating him. It's funny. I remember very clearly when he died. his music was everywhere. You would walk. I walked on the street in New York, and you heard his music emanating out of every building, every apartment window, every storefront. And I remember thinking, like, this is kind of crazy how we've completely forgotten about. Forget the, never mind the accusations of criminality. The 74 noses, the skin bleaching,
Elephant Man's bones,
sleeping in an oxygen tent with a llama and Elvis's daughter. We wiped away all of that because we just went back to what we loved and why we cared.
As Chris Rock said, we let the first kid slide.
We want to believe in Michael Jackson because an innocent Michael Jackson who brings people together with the undeniable power of song makes life worth living.
Do you know what I'm after? You want to be the biggest star in the world?
Noah, I know you liked it as a kid. Tell me if you would have liked it as a kid and confirm my bias.
Well, look, if you had asked me in 1985 if I liked Michael Jackson, I would have said no. And I even kind of made fun of him a bit. Part of it was my insecurity as a boy. So I think a lot of us mocked Michael Jackson's, lack of masculinity.
Yeah, right? There was a thing about if you liked Michael Jackson, you were gay. I remember that when we were like 8 years old. That was a thing. Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy did a great in Raw or Delirious, one of those. He did a good Michael Jackson impersonation, and he talked about how, all singers get girls, but Michael's hook is that he's sensitive.
Yeah.
And he's like, Michael Jackson, he's a great singer. He's a good-looking guy, not the most masculine fellow in the world. And the crowd goes nuts. Yeah, so there was this element of me that I don't like Michael Jackson. And like I said, I never went out of his way for, I think I bought Thriller, but my sister and I bought Thriller as like, you have to buy, like at this point, like if you don't buy Thriller, there's something wrong with you. I never bought Bad. I never bought Dangerous. I never engaged with that. I never considered going to a concert. But now I'm less pretentious. I'm less, refuse to listen to things because I think they're weird. I listen to what makes me happy. And I see how great his music was, how tremendous his talent was. I see how that music brought people together. So I'm willing to engage with it on more of a level, which is why, despite this movie's many, 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 many flaws, I found value in it.
I ignored the previous iterations of Jacksoniana, and before the microphones went hot, we talked about the VH1 miniseries, which it wasn't until you and friend of the show, Nick Nadell, talked about it. I didn't realize that was credible. I thought that was just cut cable TV junk.
I remember it ran on a loop on VH1 for a few years.
Yeah,
I watched it at least twice, and I remember thinking it was fantastic.
It was like 2 nights. It was like 3 hours or something like that. It was a big thing.
Really, really good. I have very, very fond memories of that. Billy D. Williams is Berry Gordy.
Yeah, I think I remember that as aspect.
There's an amazing scene when they first, because this always stuck with me, they first auditioned for Berry Gordy, and he's that woman who is in the movie, Suzanne whatever, is in this movie, and she said, Berry's like, kids are a pain in the ass, Stevie Wonder's barely worth it, I don't want to work with kids. She's like, these guys are really good. So he sits and listens to them, and he has a very stone face, and they go, what do you think? And he goes, that was very nice. And he walks out, and Michael's like, we're going to be a Motown! And then as he's walking down the hall with Suzanne, he's like, kids are a pain in the ass. And she's like, but? And he goes, they're amazing. I can't wait to get started.
Movie magic.
I sidetracked you.
It's all right.
Would you have liked this as a kid? And you brought up the VH1 miniseries.
Yeah, it's like I knew that in my bones that the music was the sound of our childhood, but any attempt to kind of like tell the story is destined in our lifetime to be deeply compromised. I really was not planning on seeing it. I was doing the same thing to this movie in preparation for it coming out. I was going to steer around it until I figured, we have a podcast to do. We need grist for it. So
yeah, I was not going to see it if you hadn't suggested it.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's like, I don't regret seeing it. I mean, I don't regret anything that we eat for this podcast, just to reconstitute.
I regret some things.
Yeah, but the thing is that our later teen years, you mentioned like Black and White and Dangerous and the stuff that came closer to the early mid 90s stuff that was like, by that point, bloom was off my particular rose for this sort of thing. That's kind of like the image of Jackson when it started to become tarnished. First it was the fact that it was mediocre music. It was stuff that at best it was like, what is it? Remember the Time might be the last song he made that was good that I liked, but it's like Black and White and stuff like that was really novelty act. Like at that point, I just don't think he had it. He obviously didn't have it anymore.
The video for Black and White is really
cringy.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's strange. Face tuning stuff. So yeah,
and then he's like on a car grabbing his crotch,
smashing the windows.
Of a
that
car.
was like controversial
like,
for 1990 type shit.
But like, what's the idea?
It doesn't mean anything, So I don't know. But the thing is that Jackson's image was tarnished by the criminal allegations. It's like it would have been hard to vault over if we're talking about a kid. I'm 7, yes. But, I think that the idea of Jackson kind of being over the hump and like at best a mediocre musician, but at worst someone strange that is like creeping into pederasty, perhaps, that would have I think kept me out of this. And maybe that's still what was going on. The reason why I was going to steer around it is just I don't know what this is going to be. Maybe just don't fucking watch it.
So what really went down? Well, ET source says Janet and Jermaine did discuss the movie, but they did not have a screaming match in front of their family.
Is the existence of this movie in any way, and the success of it too, in any way a sign of the apocalypse? Because, by the way, we didn't say, the movie ends in 1988, and on the screen it says his story continues.
Yeah.
So the implication is they're planning a sequel.
Oh, yeah. That they indicate, they were trying to make you believe that there's footage in the can, which there's not a single frame of footage in the can. They got to start from zero again and get it back up on its feet.
I mean, are they going to do a movie that goes from 1988 to his death? Because, I don't know if you said this, but the footage they shot that they had to cut about the accusations absolve him of it. That's what they say.
Oh, is that so? That I didn't
According to the movie, he pays the settlement under duress, but he was innocent.
Yeah,
That's what they say. I haven't seen it, so maybe it's...
I'm going to guess that they don't make a sequel, but...
I'm going to guess that too.
Look, here's the thing. It's been proven even recently in this year or the last 2 years, it's like we as Americans understand that we have little ability to seriously engage with troubled, controversial figures narratively. Most attempts simply turn into hate geography every single time. And worship. I mean, just troublingly worship. This is sort of no different. And I could have absorbed something which balanced the music and the artistry with the demons. I mean, frankly, I still... it's been 3 or 4 days after having seen this. And I'm like, I keep erecting the movie I wanted to see. I wanted to see... the creative process of building thriller, something that like John.
You got some of that.
Very little. The thing is, John Landis doesn't even he's seen from the back. They cast an actor. They don't call him John Landis. They say John.
Who gives a shit? John Landis should be a major character.
Yes,
we saw
absolutely.
There's a 5-minute scene of shooting the Thriller video.
Thriller, which
that is all. It's not like John Landis produced Thriller
changed the course of the 1980s, and it made one of these singular...
video.
Yeah, the video is amazing. I mean, but
okay, but so did a lot of other aspects of Michael Jackson's career. You want the whole fucking movie about Thriller? They made a VHS tape of the making of the Thriller video.
I saw that. That is a great.
I've never seen that. I remember they used to give it away at Burger King. Yeah,
that's the thing. Look, the thing is, again, the imagery, the image and the artistry, the demons in
artistry and the imagery.
All that stuff is super interesting and tragic, and we are capable of juggling contrasting aspects. I mean, people don't make movies like that. You can. It's they'd rather give you pablum. They'd rather give you art that sounds like the hits, rather than assume that you could sort of eat this up a little bit. I think if you'd made this naughtier, if you'd made this more troubled, it still had the music, people would see it in the droves that they're seeing.
You're not going to get that because the music is controlled by people.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
As heavily invested as possible in not painting Michael Jackson as anything other than
to bring it back around, the thing is, this is actually not apocalyptic on the score that, just how familiar this dynamic is, that we can't engage with troubling figures. We can't give grace. We can't understand something on a human level while also sort of maintaining... We don't have to say he's a fucking good guy, but we can say that the music stands alone as it's a troubling fucking legacy to have. But we can't ignore the music, and we can't ignore the allegations. But it's, again, not a sign of the apocalypse, regardless.
But that's why I think you can credibly make a Michael Jackson concert movie, right? I have no problem. Again, I have no problem with us continuing to... I don't think Michael Jackson's music should be canceled. I personally feel, and you might disagree, you listener, I personally think that it is fine to continue to celebrate and enjoy Michael Jackson's art. That's how I think he should be consumed now. Listen to the music, make a concert, watch the concert footage. But when you enter into the realm of his life and his story with any kind of credibility and any kind of honesty, to avoid those thorny issues is a crime. A crime is a major flaw of narrative integrity. Impossible to do when the people who have the reins of the music are never going to allow that. So you're in a bit of a bind. I disagree with you on that it's not apocalyptic because this is common, because I think that is apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean,
I think,
yeah,
I think, right. Offering grace is very important. All right. It's a philosophy of my life. Everyone's got their own struggle. You know, you try to forgive. You don't always forgive, but you try. You try to find the way to forgive. But I think we as a culture have a problem with forgiving people too much, about absolving people's sins. It's a big argument right now in politics. All the people who are expressing regret for enabling an insane felon to occupy our most powerful position in the government, and the people who say, I don't like him anymore, do we forgive them? Do we welcome them onto the team? Frankly, I think there's a bit too much forgiveness going on for some people. I think other people we should be very forgiving. So, you know, I think there is too much letting powerful people get away with it because they say they're sorry and we want to welcome them back into the team. So, look, maybe I'm being a hypocrite here. I want to love Michael Jackson. I want to forgive Michael Jackson, even though part of me knows it's wrong. So I think as a culture, us repositioning Michael Jackson as a hero, I think that might be an indication of some very, very bad tendencies.
I hope that it contextualizes the growth and the rise to stardom and the hard work and effort that my father put into it, my father and my family, and overall just be a really fun, entertaining time for children of all ages, from 9 to 90.
Noah, let's close this up with our final two segments. Let's discuss envy. How much would we have wanted to be the White Jackson sons in that large clan?
You could not torture me enough to make me a member of the Jackson family. You know, every time I talk about the jealousy thing, not every time, often I bring up how I wanted to be a celebrity and I wanted to be famous and I didn't get there, so I'm kind of jealous. Michael Jackson is on such a level of talent and fame that I am not jealous of him, because he's one of these people that go, maybe I could have done more, or maybe if I had been born in a slightly different body, I'd be more successful in entertainment and be more talented. Michael Jackson is on God level when it comes to talent. So, like, jealousy doesn't apply. Also, he is the example number one of it's lonely at the top. He was a miserable, miserable human being. And the fact that he took solace in the weirdest things, you know, I mean, he is an example of someone who was basically driven insane by isolation combined with poor parenting, combined with, you know, as a kid, I wanted to be an actor and audition for stuff, and my parents refused because they saw how toxic it was to, you know, for children to be involved in show business. Frankly, I think they could have, you know, moved me slightly in that direction. I don't have to audition for TV shows. Maybe they could have let me take an acting class or something. Michael Jackson is the worst example of that. I would never, ever want to be in his shoes. He was fucking miserable, which is why he took so many, which is why he mutilated his face, and he took so many pills that he died. We are now the age Michael Jackson was when he died.
Yeah.
Bill,
yeah.
We are outliving the king of pop.
We have a fragment of his fame, too.
Right. So, you know, I would never be jealous of Michael Jackson. I'm not jealous of this movie, because if I were to make a Michael Jackson biopic, I think it would be a lot better, frankly, or at least I try to make it a lot better. So no, I'm not jealous.
I'm not jealous of Antoine Fuqua, who I'm going to term uncharitably as a family-appointed hack. And granted, that's him being paid essentially to put his name on whatever it is they made him make, because he had to work within boundaries. John Logan, very competent scriptwriter, but he, you know, had to sign his name on this fraud of a story that was tampered with by the family again, and John Branca. I, you know, still and continually, I think I'm jealous of Jackson at a point at this juncture, simply putting myself in his dainty little shoes and his little shiny socks, of wondering, it's like all that pregnant possibility between, let's say, 1979 and 1982. I mean, I can't think of anybody, maybe with the exception of the Beatles, when they're putting out their last album, with like, you know, in terms of like what is in front of us at this maximal height of creativity, of renown, of credibility, all that stuff. It's all this potential, you know, wrapped up Off the Wall, which again is one of my favorite albums of all time. I like the other songs on Off the Wall better than I like the back stuff on Thriller. I'm not a big fan of PYT and Human Nature and stuff like that.
PYT,
okay.
There's a reason PYT didn't come up in this movie.
Yeah, no, that's true. You know, he's about to change the course of music, and so I guess I'm jealous of a phantom Michael Jackson that never was, just being in that position. But it's like, I guess in order to be in that position, you'd have to be this twisted Michael. You know, like when you're describing his upbringing, it makes you sound like he sounds like Bane. You know, like you need to turn, like warp him and demean him so that he becomes the supervillain, essentially. Only growing up at Santa Prisca prison could make him into the reverse Batman. That's like, you have to put him through the tests of abuse and hardship in order to get this incredible talent. But what about the scale, Noah? Where do you rank the son of a bitch on the whole scale of things?
Yeah, so I tried to think of something that we talked about that has a message, ignore some very basic things in order to express a point of view that I think is rather unrealistic. And maybe oddly, I landed on let them, the whole philosophy of let them, the blinkered idea that things are simpler or easier just because we want them to be. Maybe it's a stretch, but that's sort of where I landed on it. And then I added, you know, the musical element. So, you know, recently we talked about Harry Styles, and I thought Harry Styles is one of these guys, really talented, not really for me, but you can't deny the music. You can't deny the artistry. So, you know, but way better than Harry Styles music. So Harry Styles times 5,000 plus let them minus 502.61.
Yeah. The 5,000 part is what puts it in relief, I think, when you say it that way.
Oh, 5,000. Well, come on, he's 5,000 times better than Harry Styles.
It's
come
true.
on.
No, it's true. Considering that Harry
Styles
Styles is also in this catbird seat, and it's like, oh, Harry Styles' music doesn't mean anything compared to Michael Jackson's music. Not even a fucking passing mention.
No, but
feather
is
in the
anyone?
wind.
I mean, look, our closest thing to a Michael Jackson in terms of fame now is Taylor Swift, and maybe I'd feel differently if I were a generation younger, but like, Michael's music blows Taylor's out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think her music is bad. I think it's perfectly adequate to excellent pop music, but Michael just is on another level.
You know, at no point did Taylor Swift hire Eddie Van Halen for a guitar solo. It just never happened in her career, so I just can't take her seriously. You know,
you know, I heard Eddie Van Halen never got paid for that.
Michael stiffed him. I bet he did, but anyway, look, the music is still amazing. It's a sturdy artifact. The fact that it holds this music, it holds the movie up. I mean, frankly, for me,
yes,
not that I was going to walk out, but I was hanging on the fact that this was just, you know, set pieces of concert footage of him, you know, singing Working Day and Night with his brothers on the Victory Tour, that sort of thing. You know, the thing is, and it's also from a couple. I mean, his music, I guess, straddled a few bygone eras from the Motown days in the 60s through the disco era in the 70s through to the sort of synthesizer age of the 80s. So I think it stands the test of time, like Mozart or Tchaikovsky. That's just the kind of like a rarefied air the guy is breathing. But the thing is, the devious deception of a film drives this presentation's worth way down for me. So it's strange. I mean, I was trying to come up with something. I think I got a weird chimera, Noah, of the Tiger King with the minions somehow.
You know what? Somehow that makes sense. I'm picturing it.
I'm not even sure it does.
This movie at the nexus of Tiger King and minions.
The nexus. The crossroads, the spiritual crossroads thereof.
Yeah. We're at the precipice of a crossroads. Yeah.
All right, I think that just about wraps us up. No, I can't think of anything else to talk about. So if you guys in the audience want to listen to past episodes of this show, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play. Skeet to us at Noah and Bill Show. @bsky.social. Write to us on Noah and Bill. Don't get it at gmail.com. Not at, but on that. We love reviews on the aggregators. It's really friendly stuff. You know, it means a lot if you guys tell us how much you appreciate us and can't live without us. Social. @BillScurry.bsky.social. at William Scurry on Twitter. YouTube.com/AMCaesar is where my video work is. And most recently, I've released a couple weeks ago now my favorite episode about the A-Team for Atomic Abe. We've done pretty well with it so far. People are responding to it. I hope it's not just mere nostalgia, but we do essentially talk about what it's like to highlight an episode of something and appreciate it with adult eyes and see, oh, this wasn't just tied up in the kitsch of the 80s. There is something here that stands the test of time storytelling-wise. And Noah will tell you where you can find him.
Go to bigquizthing.com and learn all about The Big Quiz Thing, America's premier Bill providers of corporate and private live trivia events. Gearing up for the summer where we do a lot of events for law firms. A lot of great fundraisers happening. So fundraisers, team building, corporate events, private parties. We got some birthday parties and bar and bat mitzvahs coming up. So check us out there. I am personally on Instagram at @TheNoahTarnow, and that is all.
All right, everybody. So to the next episode, we talk about the feature biopic of Michael Jackson collaborator Rockwell. We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2026.